motion that board members certify that only items on the closed session agenda were discussed in closed session.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. Any, yes, want to help with the pledge?
Do you remember it?
I got you. You will excuse.
I got it.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, first up, our consent agenda. We have a motion to approve our consent agenda, which is the minutes from the June 17th general meeting.
Board members, if you can turn your mics on, just so the public can hear us. Yes.
Okay. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda, which is the minutes from our June 17th general meeting?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, the motion carries. Recognitions, Dr. Frazier.
I don't have any official recognitions. I just have a few comments that I'll make at this time, and I will do a welcome. And so, welcome to our new elementary principal, Miss Goodwin, and we appreciate her being here and all the things that she is already jumping in at West Point Elementary School doing. And we are grateful for Ms. Britt and her new position here at Central Office. Everyone has been working hard this summer. There have been no breaks around here. We have been working hard trying to keep things going and keeping this division pointed in the right direction. So I am just appreciative of all that on my team and for the work that they're doing.
And we are too. Thank you all. Presentations, Ms. Ball's Summer Academy Recap. A lot of golf claps.
So, Summer Academy, here's what's at Summer Academy.
That might not be on.
No, it isn't.
Stay on.
Can you hear me?
We can.
You can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Interwebs
There it goes. It was from before, okay. All right, so we had several instructional models happening this summer. The first one being the Writing 11 workshop, which actually started today. So we have some students who are going to be retaking their Writing 11 SOL. They will be there this week, Monday through Wednesday, and then they'll retake their test on Thursday and Friday of this week. That's led by Ms. Ambrose and Ms. Archer. We have Virtual Virginia, which started, we had a session start on June 3rd and a session start on June 17th. Some students were taking it for credit recovery, and some were taking it for initial credit, some to get ahead in those credits. We had our EL support, which was with Ms. Gowers. Elementary students were in session last week, and then she was working with middle school students, middle and rising high schoolers this week. So that's our EL support. We also had some extended school year happening throughout the summer. I know that I saw Ms. Butler and Ms. Davis working with some students this summer to keep learning and growing in their academic and social skills. And then we also had our kind of traditional summer academy with our reading and math support, remediation, and our pre-K boot camp, which were happening at the same time. Pre-K boot camp and our reading and math remediation were 7 days. That was 7 days, and it kind of mimicked a regular school day from 8 to 2, starting with their bus and parent drop-off. They had class sessions. Middle school students even switched classes during the day, and they had breakfast and lunch, and rode the bus home. They had a recess, so it really mimicked a regular school day. And then they had report cards that were sent home with them at the end, which communicated their progress to their families and then also to their teachers. So a copy went in their files, but then they were also providing that to their teachers upcoming. So because it was only 7 days, we really wanted to target some weak skills and close gaps. And so really choosing a couple of skills that they knew that they needed practice with and focus on those. So they probably weren't able to cover quite as many skills as they have in the past, but they were hammering those skills that they chose to focus on. One grade level, 5th grade, they were actually working on some skills for math for the next year, which was positive. They used pre-assessment data, so they were able to use SOL testing strands, end of year data. They had vertical meetings across grade levels and departments, so they were able to say, you know, my students are coming to me a little weaker in these areas, these are skills that you should practice, and kindergarten screenings. For post-assessment, they based it on the pre-assessments, and then they also had a lot of narrative in their report cards, which I think is a positive for their parents, but also for their other teachers, so they can kind of read how they did. This is just an example of the pre-K data sheet. There was a lot of narrative that's going to be provided to their teachers, so I just kind of showed, you know, this is the number of days that they attended, this is the narrative and their performance, and then showed some targeted skills over on the right-hand side. And there is individual student data that Dr. Hauser has, if you want to see that. And then the kindergarten through 8th grade data sheet showed more traditional percentages and broken down by skill, pre and post tests for reading and math. So this is our chart of growth, and so it shows percentage of growth for each grade level for each subject. And so I want to say the ones with the asterisks, the teachers are probably disappointed in the way that some of these look. And so included in this are students it included all the students. So for the ones that did not show growth, it was showing, for the ones that didn't show growth, the students either remained the same in their pre and post tests, or some of them were at mastery on their pre-test. So there was no growth to be shown on their post test. And I think some of those students, I know several of the kindergarten students were there for language development. So it wasn't necessarily that they needed to practice with the skills, so they showed mastery on the skills, but they needed the language. So I think some of those students may have been, you know, we really need you there for math, but you're going to be there all day, so you should master in your reading pre-test. So that is the 6th through 8th, they were combined, so they were across grade levels together. We also had a middle school work completion group, which was something that was new this year for us. In the past, our students who struggle with work completion during the school year have been placed with the math and reading remediation groups. But it wasn't necessarily that they needed extra practice with math or reading, they just needed to complete the work. So this was a new group this year, and we were excited to have that. Those teachers worked really hard to find some baseline data. So they looked at their grade book, at each student's grade book, and figured out the number of assignments for each quarter, the number of assignments that they did not complete, and then came up with a percentage of completion for that quarter. And then went back and opened every one of those assignments, and they completed those assignments working backwards. So they started with the quarter 4 assignments and then moved to quarter 3. And we even had some students get all of their quarter 2 work done. So they did a really great job. They worked on an economy system. Before I move on, I know that I talked to one of you who asked if it changed their grade. And it didn't change their grade for the school year, but they were able to get that work done. They worked on an economy system, so they earned some kind of classroom cash currency, and they worked hard. Middle school students, it was food, you know, they worked hard for food, but they really worked hard to get the things that they wanted to get, and they made a lot of progress. It was really nice to see.
then what's next? So, like I said, the middle school EL group started today, and our SOL writing group started today. Communicating needs and successes. I know that some teachers have already been communicating with next year's teachers so that those students can have a good start to their school year, so they know what worked and what didn't work and where they can start. Setting goals for the coming year. One of the big things I think for our work completion groups, for sure, they were really proud of the work that they did. And I think that sometimes, particularly once you get to middle school, it's probably not super exciting to go to summer academy. But I think that they saw that it doesn't have to necessarily be, work doesn't have to be boring. And so they were able to build some good relationships with some different teachers, and some of the teachers that they had that they probably didn't have the best relationships with. But just kind of seeing them in a different capacity and working with them on different levels, so that was a positive. And hopefully being able to set some goals for the coming year with them so that they don't necessarily end up in the same situation next year moving forward. We had a lot of 8th graders, so now they're moving to high school and working for high school credits, and they won't have the opportunity to do this sort of summer school next year. And following up with our students who are taking summer classes through Virtual Virginia, updating them on credits, and then we have some students who are taking classes this summer where they will need to take an SOL to earn a verified credit, so following up with them in the fall when we get back. So, do you all have questions for me? I think it was longer than 4. Thank you, it was a great opportunity, and I think they had a lot of good success.
Thanks, Ms. Paul. Next up, Ms. Britt, accountability update.
Okay, so I'm going to do a general overview of the school performance and support framework that has rolled down from the state. So first of all, we just want to know that, I want you to know that it falls in our strategic plan. It'll help drive increased reading and math performance for all students, increase teaching efficacy, and reinvigorate collaborative and team structures in school and division levels. The purpose of the new system is high expectations for all students, transparency and access to actionable information. The goal is to move students towards mastery. It builds trust and includes stakeholder input, aligns the prior state accreditation and federal accountability systems into one. And we do have some ratings that we received from the 23-24 data that I'll share with you. And it's expected to be fully implemented with some exceptions by this fall of 2025 with the 24-25 data. So you'll see that I took the versus, the accountability versus accreditation, and put an ampersand on it because it includes both. So the new framework has both components. If we look at the accreditation side, it will still have the 8 components of the standards of accreditation. That's things like, are you completing your fire drills? Are you aligning your standards? What are your ratios? That type of thing. And it'll still have the criteria of fully accredited, conditionally accredited, and accreditation denied, but it won't have the same meaning that it's had in the past with school systems. So if a school system is not accredited, that's not going to be the same meaning as it has been in the past because now we're including the accountability portion. So in that accountability portion, you will see that we have 3 components for elementary, middle, and schools that are going to be looking at growth, readiness, and mastery. And then in the high school, they're going to be looking at graduation, readiness, and mastery. And so all of those are going to come together to create a summative label or a score. So looking at the different components, first of all, we have the math. You'll see the percentages. And they're not all equal. So you would think like the mastery in elementary school, middle, and high would be kind of the same across the board, but it's not for different reasons. So if you see the mastery, like in high school, it's 50%. But that's because graduation is included in high school, and in order to graduate, you have to show mastery in certain components. So going to add that together. So that's why it's a little different in the different schools. Readiness for high school includes things like the ASVAB testing. It's a 3E component that we're going to go over in just a minute. So our indicators are within each component. So if you look at the growth component in elementary and middle, that's looking at a program that the state uses to try and identify projected growth for students. And if those students are showing growth based on that projected amount, then we will have, we'll show growth. And that's for reading and math. In the mastery portion, that's your SOL scores, your VAP scores, and it also includes English language proficiency. So that's how the students score on the access test, those students who are our EL, our English language learner students. So readiness, and I jumped ahead, sorry. Readiness has to do with the absenteeism, and you will see in the fine print down at the bottom, that first year, that chronic absenteeism will be 10% the first year in like the elementary school, because they're still working on that 5 C's performance task. So that first year, while they're working on that, they'll be doing that 10%. And then it'll change in the second year. And you'll see it under middle school too. Chronic absenteeism and advanced coursework will be 10% in the first year. And that advanced coursework that first year will be on math. So those advanced classes that we're offering in the middle school in math will be that part of that. Well, given that we are a little unique, the state has also taken into account for those schools that have combined middle and high school. So in comparison, you will see the original, what's laid out, and then you'll see the percentages for the middle and high combined. So in this case, instead of having 3 indicators, they have 4. They've included all 4, and they've changed the weighting so that it accounts for students in grades 6 through 12. So we're going to be watching this as the year rolls out and as scores come in, and then that's what will be applied to West Point Middle High School. The elementary will be as stated with the state. In the other slides. And so we have the mastery, we have the growth, we have the graduation, and the readiness, all in the same combined calculation. The percentages are just balanced differently in order to make it work. In our mastery index on the SOL scores, it was, with our SOLs, it was like a pass or fail. Now what you're seeing is there's extra weighting. If students score pass advanced on the SOLs, those students will account for 1.25 in the weighting. If a student fails, you can still get some credit for how much they know. It's not as much, but let's say a student performs below basic on an SOL, which is going to be 374 or less. That student, you're still going to get like 0.25 on that weighting because they do know something. And so that's what they have done here with those examples. So in our growth components, we are going to use the VVAS, which is a program that the state has, and that is a number that is generated based on past data and other data in order to determine how a student should perform. And that's for grades 4 through 8. Notice grades 3 is not included because they have to have previous data in order to make projected estimates. And then that's how that growth will fall out. In the high school, you also have the 3E readiness framework. And that is also included, and that's doing the enrollment. That's having to to do with students taking DE classes or AP classes or earning an associate's degree, and it can add up. It can be more than just one of those things. So a student who's gotten their associate's degree could earn multiple in that category because they've taken DE classes, they've taken the associate's degree. It also looks into employment, which is what CTE classes students have taken and have they gotten industry recognition. And then also enlistment, and where they take the ASVAB, and then we look at those scores because that's supposed to be kind of similar to what we're doing with getting students ready for employment. Is, you know, as you enter in the military, what types of things are you ready for? Then we have our graduation component. The 4-year adjusted cohort graduation rate captures all the students who graduate on time in 4 years with a standard or advanced diploma. So you can see all of these things are factored in. These indicators will all come together and they'll sum up to form the performance categories. The categories are the summative label. And then that will go toward looking at aligned federal identification for improvement. Those performance categories that we will see are if a school system or school is distinguished, on track, off track, or needs intensive support. We were given a draft or an analysis of our 23-24 data, and with that data that we were given, the WPES performance was 85.6, and the WPMS HS performance rate were 86.7, so they were solidly on track. And the schools were not identified as requiring any type of support through the Office of School Quality. So that's where that falls, our last component. Again, if there was some issue, they would notice those categories would be comprehensive support and improvement, where schools are struggling the most, targeted support, where schools with student growth struggle the most, so they're just looking at student groups, and then the additional targeted support, schools have consistently performed low 3 years, and they need a lot of support. So the last component we have on that accountability side is going to be the OSQ. That is your Office of School Quality. And so these are the components of that. Those are things like teacher recruitment, principal recruitment, family engagement, attendee supports, organizational learning supports, and academic supports. So what does this mean for us? We are doing our ASVAB testing and juniors this year to provide data for the 3E readiness. And I've heard from Ms. Rush, and we have completed, and we do have some students that have completed it outside of school, and those reports come to us as well. We're in a great place with our advanced coursework, our dual enrollment, our Corner Pathways program, our advanced math opportunities. We're paying close attention to how our EL students are performing on their WIA assessment, because that accounts for our 10%, and they've shown growth this year. And our goal is for all students to grow. Any questions? It's a lot.
State give you a secret decoder ring.
You do not a decoder ring, but they do give you some programs that you can put some numbers in.
That's great.
So we'll be playing around with that a lot.
Always helps.
This has been a lot for superintendents and school leaders to wrap their minds around.
Yeah.
And every other meeting we go to, there's a change. And so we are still sitting back waiting to see what's going to be next. And so, but thank you, Ms. Britt, for sharing that information. Sure. And we will continue to share our data as it becomes available.
Thank you, Ms. Britt.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Leach, you need delegations notes. Said, all right, we will move on into our action items. First up, I have a motion to consider approving our expenditures and receive our revenue reports.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, the motion carries. Do I also have a motion to consider approving our cafeteria expenditures?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed? That motion carries. Personnel recommendations. Do I have a motion to approve our personnel recommendations?
So moved.
So moved. We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Second, any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed? Motion carries. Our 25-26 student code of conduct, we had this as an item under study last meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the 25-26 student code of conduct?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, that motion carries. We have a motion to accept our 2025-26 West Point Public Schools Crisis Plan.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, that motion carries. Tuition students, we have a motion to approve our initial tuition student applicants for the 25-26 school year.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. All that opposed, that motion carries. We also have tuition renewals for 25-26. Do I have a motion to consider approving tuition student renewals for the 25-26 school year?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. All that opposed, that motion carries. We have a technology resolution. Do I have a motion to approve the 2025-2026 technology resolution?
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. All that opposed, that motion carries. Very efficient with our action items there. All right. Any information, Dr. Frazier?
There's one item in your packet that's under for informational items, and that is an addendum to the program of studies for one change that is needed for Virgin communities. The only other thing that I will say is the division leadership team will be participating in their mysterious leadership retreat on Wednesday of this week, and then some of us will also participate in our leadership retreat 2.0 on Thursday. And so this is a time that our team gets together to really do some planning and some reflecting and just some thinking about the upcoming school year and the past school year, so we can really make sure that we're all on the same page, so we can continue to keep this division what?
Pointed in the right direction.
And they didn't, I practiced that.
Like, no mystery there. All right. So for the addendum, we have that next. We need action on that next month, or is that just a?
I think that's just information that it's now DE class or bridging classes are now weighted.
Okay.
So it was one thing we did before, we didn't recognize that.
Gotcha.
We were one of the few school divisions that didn't do that.
All right. We've got some future agenda items: our organizational chart, our end of year data, and school opening.
Because our board meeting will be the
We'll be open by then.
second day of school.
All right. Enjoy the next month. All right. Yeah. So our next meeting will be August 19th, 6 p.m. Anything else? Board members? Nothing else? We're adjourned.